My wife yelled at 4 a.m. "You don't own me." I replied calmly. Can you imagine the gut-wrenching moment you realize your entire marriage is a lie? Or standing at 4 a.m., your world crumbling, and your partner screams, "You don't own me." And you realize they're absolutely right? That was the last conversation I ever had with my wife. What do you do when the person you vowed to spend your life with becomes a stranger, and then, 6 years later, walks back into your life in the most unexpected, shattering way possible? Story begins 6 years ago. I was 30, married for 4 years, and I truly thought I had everything figured out. My ex-wife and I, we were college sweethearts. She was studying communications, I was pre-med. Everyone said we were that couple, the ones destined to make it. We got married right after I finished my physician assistant program, moved into a decent apartment, even adopted a dog. All the classic relationship milestones. For the first couple of years, things were genuinely good. We had our typical spats, sure, but nothing serious. We talked about buying a house, maybe starting a family in a few years. Life felt on track. Then, she got a promotion at her marketing firm. New responsibilities, a new team, longer hours. I was so supportive, so proud. She deserved that recognition. But with that promotion came changes I never saw coming. She started going out more. After-work drinks with colleagues turned into late dinners, then weekend team-building events, then industry conferences requiring overnight stays. At first, I didn't think much of it. Her career was taking off, and honestly, I was beaming with pride. But about 3 months into her new position, I started noticing the small, insidious things. She'd come home at midnight, sometimes later. Sometimes, she'd smell like alcohol and cigarettes, which was bizarre because she'd never smoked. Her phone was always face down now. The password suddenly changed from the one we'd shared for years. She'd take calls in the other room, door firmly shut behind her. When I'd ask about her day, her answers became vague. Just work stuff. You wouldn't understand the project. It's complicated. I tried, gently, to bring it up. I feel like we never talk anymore, I'd say, my voice softer than I felt. Like you're somewhere else, even when you're here. She'd snap. Defensive, immediately. I'm working hard. Sorry if that's not enough for you. Enough? I'm not saying it's not enough. I'd try to explain. I'm saying I miss you. Miss us. Her response? A cold cutting. Maybe if you weren't so needy, we'd be fine. Needy, that word stung. For wanting to spend time with my wife? For wanting to know what was going on in her life. This pattern, it just continued. For months. I'd stay up, waiting. She'd stumble in after midnight, brush past me without a word, lock herself in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Some nights, she wouldn't come home at all, texting around 2 a.m. that she was crashing at a colleague's place because she'd had too much to drink. I wanted to believe her. God, I really did. But my gut, it just kept screaming that something was terribly, terribly wrong. About 8 months into her promotion, I couldn't take it anymore. It was a Friday night, almost 4 a.m., and she still wasn't home. She'd texted at 11, saying she'd be late. Then nothing. 5 hours of silence. No response to my calls, my messages. She finally walked in at 3:47 a.m. I was sitting in the living room, couldn't sleep, had been pacing for hours. Where were you? I asked, trying to keep my voice level steady. Out with the team. I told you. You said you'd be late. Not that you'd be gone all night. It's not all night. It's barely 4. She dropped her purse on the counter, kicked off her heels. You couldn't text? Couldn't call? My phone died. You couldn't borrow someone's phone? Couldn't find a charger. She threw her hands up. Oh my God. Here we go with the interrogation. I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking why my wife didn't come home or communicate for 5 hours. My voice was rising now. Because I was having fun. Because I was actually enjoying myself for once instead of coming home to this. To what? To your husband who's worried about you. She laughed, a bitter, sharp sound. Worried, right? You mean controlling. How is wanting to know if you're safe controlling? You always do this. You always make me feel guilty for having a life outside of you. You sit here waiting for me like some pathetic. She stopped herself. Like some pathetic what? I pushed. Nothing. Forget it.
No.
Say it. You're going to call me something, so just say it. You're suffocating me, she screamed. Every day it's, where are you? What are you doing? When are you coming home? I can't breathe. I ask you those things, I shot back, because you're never here anymore. Because you've changed completely and won't talk to me about what's going on. Nothing is going on. I'm working. I'm building a career. I'm sorry if that's not exciting enough for you. Then, I asked the question that had been haunting me for months. My voice dropped, barely a whisper. Is there someone else? The air in the room went completely still. She froze. What did you just say? Asked if there's someone else. Are you seeing someone? Her face twisted into something I didn't recognize, a mixture of rage and disgust. Unbelievable. You're actually accusing me of cheating. I'm asking. There's a difference. No, you're accusing. You're standing here at 4 in the morning acting like you own me. Like I owe you an explanation for every second of my day. Stop interrogating me. You don't own me. And in that moment, something inside me broke. Not with a shout, not with anger. Just a quiet, sickening snap, like a thread that had been stretched too thin for too long. You're right, I said quietly, my voice surprisingly calm. I don't own you. I never wanted to. I just wanted a partner who cared enough to come home, or at least call. She stared at me. For a second, just a fleeting second, I thought she might say something real. Something vulnerable. Might actually talk to me like we used to talk before all of this. But then, her expression hardened again. I'm going to bed. I have work in the morning. She walked past me, towards the bedroom. I stood there in the living room as the sun started to creep up outside, painting the sky with pale light. And I realized something. I was done. Not angry. Just done. Not looking for revenge. Just exhausted. Empty.
Done.
I walked into the bedroom while she was still in the bathroom, door locked. I quietly packed a duffel bag with clothes, toiletries, my laptop. Grabbed my work badge and keys. And I walked out, while she was still behind that locked bathroom door. I didn't leave a note. Didn't send a text. I just left. The aftermath. The clean break, or so I thought. I crashed at a friend's place that first night, slept for maybe 2 hours. Woke up to 17 missed calls, and about 30 texts from her. They followed a predictable pattern. First few. Asterisk, where did you go? Are you serious right now? You're being ridiculous. Asterisk, the middle batch. Asterisk, okay, you made your point. Come home, so we can talk. I'm sorry I yelled, but you can't just leave like this. Asterisk, the final ones. Asterisk, fine, be that way. See if I care. Asterisk, I didn't respond to any of them. My friend, who I'd known since undergrad, made coffee. What happened? He asked, eyes full of concern. I gave him the short version. He'd met her a few times, always said she seemed nice but distant. You think she's cheating? He asked directly. Yeah, I admitted, the word tasting bitter. I do. You want to know for sure? I thought about it.
Did I?
Would it even change anything? I'd already left. Already decided I was done. Did I need confirmation to justify it? No, I said finally, shaking my head. It doesn't matter. Even if she's not, she's already gone. The person I married checked out months ago. I stayed with him for a week, then found a studio apartment closer to the hospital where I worked. 2 weeks after I left, I filed for divorce. The papers were served to her at work, which, to be clear, I didn't intend, but couldn't control. She called me immediately after being served. I actually answered that time. Are you kidding me right now? Her voice was shrill, panicked. You're divorcing me over one fight? Over months of you disappearing. I corrected her, my voice steady. Over you treating me like I'm the problem for caring. Over whatever you've been doing that you can't talk to me about. I haven't been doing anything. Then why couldn't you come home? Why couldn't you answer your phone? Why did you lock yourself in the bathroom for 20 minutes at 4 a.m.? Silence. Long, heavy silence. That's what I thought, I said. If you do this, she said, her voice dropping, we're done forever. You understand that. That's kind of the point of divorce. You'll regret this. When you're alone and you realize you threw away 4 years of marriage over your own insecurity, you'll regret it. Maybe, I replied, but I'll regret staying more. I hung up. She tried calling back multiple times. I blocked her number. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. She didn't contest it, didn't fight for anything. We split our minimal assets. She kept the apartment lease. I took the dog. She'd never really bonded with him anyway. Legally speaking, it was a clean break. Emotionally, that took longer. Life after. The long road to peace over the next 2 years. I threw myself into work. Picked up extra shifts, volunteered for the worst schedules, took on additional training. The hospital became my life. It was easier than dealing with the aftermath of a failed marriage, easier than dating, easier than examining what I could have done differently. I heard through mutual friends that she'd moved on quickly. Started publicly dating someone from her office about 3 months after the divorce was final. They got engaged within a year. When I heard that, I felt nothing. Not anger, not vindication. Just a distant sense of, yeah, that tracks. I dated sporadically. Nothing serious. First date conversations always eventually led to, so, why did your marriage end? And I never had a good answer that didn't make me sound bitter, or her sound terrible. Usually, I just said, we grew apart, which was true enough. The hospital kept me busy. I worked my way up to a senior PA position, got involved in training new staff, found purpose in the work. Patients don't care about your personal life. They just need you to be competent and present. I could do that. By year 4, post-divorce, I was in a good place. Had a routine, work I cared about, friends I saw regularly. Wasn't looking for a relationship, but wasn't opposed to one either. I just existed in this comfortable, stable middle ground. Then year 6 happened. The ghost in the exam room. It was a Tuesday afternoon, a routine clinic day. I was seeing patients in the hospital's outpatient care center, working through a typical schedule, post-op follow-ups, medication adjustments, nothing unusual. The nurse called me over around 2 p.m. Got a walk-in who needs a quick BP check and a clearance form signed. Can you squeeze her in? Sure, I said. Put her in room 3. I grabbed the tablet with her intake forms, glanced at the name, and felt absolutely nothing. It was a common enough name. Didn't even register. I walked into the exam room, eyes still on the tablet, reading through her information. Hi, I'm just going to check your blood pressure real quick. And I looked up. She was sitting on the exam table, frozen, face completely white, staring at me like she'd seen a ghost. My brain short-circuited for about 3 seconds. Then professional training kicked in. I kept my expression neutral, my voice even. Good afternoon. Let's get your vitals. She found her voice, shaky and small. I didn't know you worked here. 6 years now, I replied, still professional. The nurse came in, cheerful and oblivious, wrapping the blood pressure cuff around her arm. You two know each other? I met my ex-wife's eyes. I let the silence stretch, just long enough to be uncomfortable, to let the tension build. We used to, I said finally. The nurse, bless her, picked up on the tension and hurried through the reading. 120/78. Nice and normal. I'll let you finish up. She left. The door closed. We were alone in the small exam room. My ex-wife spoke first. I had no idea you worked here. My doctor's office is in this building, and they said I could get the clearance form done downstairs instead of making another appointment. It's fine, I said. I can sign off on this. How have you been? Asterisk a stupid question, I thought. After 6 years of silence. Asterisk, I'm okay. I got married, had a baby. That's actually why I need this form for the daycare enrollment. I nodded, still processing. Married. A baby. She'd moved on with her life completely. Congratulations, I said. And I meant it. No sarcasm, no bitterness. Just a flat statement of acknowledgement. She looked like she wanted to say more, kept opening her mouth, then closing it. Finally, she managed, "I'm sorry. For how things ended. For how I treated you." I set down the tablet. "Okay. That's it. Just okay. What do you want me to say? It was 6 years ago. We're different people now." "I know, but I've thought about reaching out so many times. Thought about apologizing. I was terrible to you. You deserved better." "Yeah," I agreed quietly. "I did." She flinched at that. "I was seeing someone. The whole time those last few months. You were right." I picked up the tablet again, started filling out the form. "I know." "How did you know?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Because I'm not an idiot. And because you just confirmed it." "He's not. I didn't marry him. That fell apart about a year after we divorced. I married someone else. Someone better." "Good for you," I said, still professional. "Are you seeing anyone?" "That's not really relevant to this appointment," I replied, not unkindly. She went quiet. I finished the form, signed it, printed it from the wall-mounted unit. "You're all set. Form's good for 90 days. She took it, her hands shaking slightly. "Thank you." I moved towards the door, a professional smile in place. "Take care of yourself." "Wait." I stopped, hand on the door handle. Can we
talk?"
actually talk? Maybe get coffee or something." I turned back to her and really looked at her for the first time since walking into the room. She'd aged, obviously, 6 years does that, but more than that, she looked tired, worn down, in a way that had nothing to do with having a baby and everything to do with carrying guilt.
"Why?"
I asked. "Because I owe you a real apology. A real explanation. Because I've been carrying this for 6 years and I need to..." "To what?" I cut her off gently. "Absolve yourself? Make yourself feel better? To give me closure?" I almost laughed again, a dark, humorless thought. "I got closure 6 years ago when I walked out. I'm good." "Please," she pleaded, "just one conversation. 30 minutes." I should have said no. Should have walked out. Maintained the boundary. Kept my life separate from that painful chapter. But something in her desperation, or maybe my own faint curiosity, made me pause.
"Fine.
One conversation. There's a cafe in the lobby. 20 minutes. That's all I can spare. The coffee, the truth, and the unburdening. We sat in the hospital cafe. Two strangers with a shared history. Coffee neither of us really wanted, getting cold between us. She started talking before I could even settle into my chair, like she'd been holding this in for years, and the dam had finally broken. His name was my boss, the one I was sleeping with. It started about 2 months into the promotion. He was charming, paid attention to me, made me feel important.
I know how that sounds.
I know it's a cliché, but when you're working 70-hour weeks and your husband is asleep by the time you get home, when someone makes you feel seen. "I made you feel seen," I said quietly, interrupting her. "Until you stopped letting me." She nodded, tears welling up. I know you did. I pulled away from you because the guilt was eating me alive. Every time you asked where I was or when I'd be home, I felt like you could see right through me. So I got defensive, pushed you away, blamed you for caring. You made me feel crazy, like I was the problem. "You were never the problem," I stated. I was selfish and cowardly. And I destroyed the best thing I had because I was too weak to just be honest. I sipped my coffee, letting her continue. That night, the 4 a.m. fight, I'd been with him. We'd had this big industry event, and afterward a group went to a hotel bar. Everyone else left around midnight. We stayed, went up to his room. "I don't need the details," I interjected, holding up a hand.
"Right."
"Sorry." She wiped her eyes. "When I got home and you asked where I'd been, I panicked. Got angry instead of honest. And when you asked if there was someone else, I could have just said yes. Could have ended it there with some dignity. But I doubled down on the lie instead." "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked, my voice flat. "Because my therapist says I can't move forward until I face what I did. Because my husband knows about you, but not the real story. Because I have a daughter now, and the thought of someone treating her the way I treated you makes me sick. Your husband doesn't know you cheated? He knows the marriage ended.
Doesn't know why.
I told him we grew apart. I shook my head slowly. You should tell him. He deserves to know who he married. That's not fair. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe not. But he should still know. What happens if he finds out some other way? If an old colleague mentions it, you think that'll go better? She looked down at her coffee, defeated. You're right. I know you're right. We sat in silence for a minute. I checked my watch. I need to get back. Thank you for listening, she said. I know I don't deserve it. I stood up. I hope you have a good life. I hope you're better to him than you were to me. And I hope your daughter never has to learn these lessons the hard way. Do you hate me? She asked, her voice small. I thought about it. Really considered the question. No, I said finally. I did for a while. But mostly I just feel nothing. You're a stranger who used to be important. That's it. I walked away, threw my untouched coffee in the trash, and went back to work. Saw 4 more patients that afternoon. Went home to my quiet apartment, fed my dog, made dinner, watched TV, went to bed. Normal, stable, uncomplicated. The true meaning of closure that was 8 months ago. Haven't seen or heard from her since. Don't expect to. The hospital's big enough that we'd have to actively try to run into each other again. I did a lot of thinking after that conversation, talked to my own therapist about it, processed the whole thing. And I realized that as much as she'd hurt me 6 years ago, I genuinely moved on. Seeing her again didn't reopen old wounds. It just reminded me why I'd left in the first place. I started dating someone seriously about 4 months ago. Met her through a friend. She's a teacher, has her own life and interests. We see each other twice a week, text daily, take things slow. She knows about the divorce, knows the basic story, doesn't push for details I'm not ready to share. Last week, she asked if I'd ever consider getting married again. I told her honestly, maybe with the right person, but not for a long time. She said that was fair, that she felt the same way. No pressure, no rush, just 2 people figuring it out together. That's what it should have been the first time. 2 people figuring it out together. Not one person lying and the other person slowly losing their mind trying to hold it together. I did hear, through the same mutual friend network, that my ex-wife did tell her current husband about the cheating. He apparently took it hard. They went to couples counseling, and they're working through it. I genuinely hope they make it. Hope she learns something from what she did to both of us. The dog is still with me, by the way. 13 now. Gray around the muzzle, but happy. Best part of that marriage, honestly. Work is still good, still fulfilling, still keeps me busy enough that I don't spend too much time dwelling on the past. And that's really the end of it. Sometimes the closure isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just a 20-minute conversation in a hospital cafe where you realize the person who destroyed you doesn't have any power over you anymore. Where you can look at them and feel nothing but mild curiosity and relief that you got out when you did. She wanted absolution. I couldn't give her. Wanted me to say it was okay, that I forgave her, that we could part as friends. But I don't owe her that. Don't owe her anything. The fact that I don't hate her is gift enough. I left 6 years ago, at 4 a.m., with a duffel bag and a broken heart. Walked out on a marriage that was already over. Best decision I ever made. Not because it led to some amazing transformation or revenge plot or perfect new life, but because it led to peace. To waking up every morning not wondering where my partner was, or if they were lying. To building a life that's genuinely mine, not a carefully maintained performance for someone who stopped caring. That's the lesson, I guess. Sometimes you don't get dramatic closure. Sometimes you just get to walk away and build something better. And 6 years later, when the ghost of your past shows up in an exam room, you get to look at them and realize you're completely fine. That they're just another patient needing a form signed. That the person who once had the power to devastate you is now just someone you used to know. And that's enough. Call to action. I've had a lot of time to process this, but I'm curious. If you were in my shoes after all that, Would you have given her that coffee conversation? Or would you have just walked away immediately? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts.